Don't believe his lies. He is the one. Kill him. I finally found him. How long have I been looking?
Find anything? Didn't think so. Let's go, huh?
You're gonna pay for what you did. Beg forgiveness, and then you pay.
You don't have a clue, you freak.
Beg my wife's forgiveness before I blow your brains out.
Leonard, you don't know what's going on. You don't even know my name.
Teddy.
That's because you read it off picture. You don't know who you are.
I'm Leonard Shelby. I'm from San Francisco.
That's who you were. That's not what you become.
Shut your mouth.
You want to know, Lenny? Come on. Come on, let's go down to the basement. Let's go down, you and me together. Then you'll know who you really are. No!
Hello and welcome to Book versus Movie. This is a podcast where we read books that have been adapted into movies, and then we try to decide which we like better, the book or the movie. I am Margot P. of ColoniaBook.com, and this is my good friend and co-host, Margot D. of Brooklyn Fit Chick.
Hi, everyone.
So we are doing Mysteries in May. This is our very first Mysteries in May, and we kicked it off with the Queen of Mysteries, Agatha Christie. And we went a very different direction for this week. I'm very excited to talk about this story and this movie. But if you're brand new, if you're just joining us, this is we talk about movies that have been adapted from any literary source. So not always a book with covers. Sometimes it's a short story, sometimes it's a novella or a magazine article or a play or a song. As long as it has a literary source, we will consider it. So we are always looking for suggestions, and we have a few ground rules. Number one, the source material, whatever it is, it has to be really easy to get your hands on. Like today's was a short story that was it an Esquire magazine?
Esquire, yes.
The movie has to be streaming on a major platform, so everybody can participate in our virtual book and movie club of the air here. And if you have suggestions, if you want to meet other listeners of this podcast or interact with us, there's a few places where you can do that on the internet.
We do have a basic Facebook page. Be sure to like it, but we're much more interactive in our Facebook group. And an update, Thaddeus, who was handling 2 different posts for us on Facebook is giving him a hard time. He had 2 different posts for, like, one was a list of the stuff we've covered before and ideas people have for the future. But please go to the Facebook page. There's lots of place suggestions there, or give us your suggestions there, or Twitter, Instagram threads. Now, Twitter, Instagram threads, you spell out book versus and movie. And then we have an old-timey email. You could try that. Book versus movie podcast, spell that all out at gmail.com. We had somebody reach out this week, some ideas, and we really appreciate that. And that's it.
And if you really enjoy the show and would like to help keep us in books and movies, you can also support us on Patreon.
Patreon. We've been doing the show for 10 years now. So Margot and I have a lot of episodes up on our Patreon. Well, we decided to put everything from 2021 and previous to that up there. Recently, we put up Love Story, Being There, Benjamin Button's Arrival, Harper Valley PTA, and A Streetcar Named Desire. So we use that money for the books and the movies and for the streaming and for that kind of thing. So we really appreciate all of you that celebrate us. Support us there, I mean. But if you would like to help us out in another way, we would really appreciate if you could leave us a review wherever you get your podcast. Be sure to subscribe, but leave us stars or whatever it is. We've been doing really well at Good Pods. So we've been on top of their list lately, which is really exciting because we're a little independent show. Or just tell a friend about the show.
We really appreciate it. Thank you so much for all of our new listeners who've joined us, and especially if you were here because you heard about us from a friend. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Now, listen. So we have a very interesting. The whole thing today is I had never seen this movie. I had never read this story. We have the story is by
Jonathan.
The story is by Jonathan. Thank you, Nolan. And the movie is by Christopher Nolan. We got brothers working here, and I read the story, and I was very confused. And then I watched the movie and I was even more confused. I think I have a handle on it now, but it really messed with my head. And the story is very easy to get a hold of. Y'all can find it for free on the internet. You just Google it. It's fine.
We have a link
And
in our show notes. If you swipe the artwork on the
take you there.
it'll take you right there. We have a link for it, and so it's really easy and quick read.
The movie is screening for free on YouTube right now. They're offering it for free,
and it's on Peacock.
Yeah, so it's easy to find.
Yeah,
but let's talk about our brothers Nolan.
Yeah, so it's Christopher Nolan and Jonathan Nolan. They're about 6 years apart in age. They're both British and American. I believe the older brother, Chris, he establishes himself more as a British person, and his younger brother, who actually grew up in Chicago, he established himself more on the American side. Christopher's the director, Jonathan's the writer. They've collaborated on many materials together. There was one time where they were going on a cross-country trip together from George Washington University across to L.A. The younger brother, Jonathan, said, "Hey, I've been working on this short story. Let me tell you about it." And as they're going in this car drive across the country, they came up with this script and this idea. And so they started pitching it, and every place they went, people were like, "This looks great. It sounds great, but we have no idea if anybody's going to make any sense of it because it is so complex and confusing." And to me, this is like perfect Miramax bait. But even Harvey Weinstein was like, "I'm not sure if anybody's going to understand it." And so this is a movie. So like I said, the short story comes out in the March issue of 2001 of Esquire. The movie came out maybe a month before. It was filmed way before that, and it was at the Sundance Festival, and then it was released by something I'm not really distributed by Newmarket, and it was only on 500 screens. So it's this little engine that could. It was this little movie that people thought was interesting, fascinating, but they doubted the audience, and then they're always doubting the intelligence of the audience, and there's always kind of like you have to answer all the questions or people get frustrated, which I think is untrue. I kind of like a nebulous ending. Yeah.
That's how life is. You don't always get all your answers sewn up in a nice, tidy little package. And I think it's interesting to see like what things do get answered and what don't. It's always fascinating to me. When did it come out in Esquire?
March of 2001.
March of 2001. Do you know, it reminded me a lot of my experience, the experience of reading it reminded me a lot of when we did Arrival.
Mm-hmm. Which we just, yeah.
That book skips around in time and you're never 100% sure if you can trust what she's remembering or not remembering. And a similar kind of mystery kind of structure. I mean, it's very good. I thought it was very well written.
Yeah, they go on to really amazing things. This is only their second film.
This is very early Nolan brothers. Later on we got the whole Batman thing and all that, but this is super early on. Similarly, like when I read Arrival, I thought, wow, how do you make this movie?
Mm-hmm.
How are we making this movie? I think the way that Christopher is the one who makes the movies, right? I'm going to be confusing the Nolan brothers a lot today. I think that the way that he did it, I thought was super smart, even if I didn't get it the first time. There's a few key differences. The story is very short. It's a very quick read, and it's intriguing. I think right away. To me, it's not just like the Arrival book, but also there's something about there's sort of like a Bradbury esque kind of feel to it that I like because I love Ray Bradbury. We have our main character in the book. His name is Earl.
Yes,
he has a different name in the movie, but in the book, his name is Earl. Again, it's like glimpses of his consciousness in and out, and you're not sure where in time he is. We know that he doesn't have something has happened to his wife. We're not quite sure right at first what it is, but he had some horrible thing happen and he now no longer has any short-term memory. He can remember everything up to the event, but ever since then he cannot make any new memories. And so he's trying to, how do you navigate your life day to day if you can't remember whether you left the stove on or whether you left the water running or all kinds of things. And so he has a system of notes and photos and tattoos even he has devised to help him realize what it is he's supposed to do from moment to moment to moment. Eventually, we learn that his wife was raped and killed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I should have trigger warned about that. And I mean, I would say spoiler alert, but it's not. I don't know if that even is. We're not even going to spoil it because we're not going to come close to giving anybody the experience of the story. But anyway, but one big difference between the story and the movie. In the movie, he has a tattoo that says, and it's written backwards so he can see it in the mirror. It says, John G. raped and killed your wife.
Can you imagine me, the tattoo artist, having to put
Who's he asking to do that? And I'm like, okay, you sure about that?
Yeah.
And backwards, gotcha, dude. In the story, which is eerie to read when you're reading it, in the story it reads, I believe, I raped and killed your wife, which has even more questions for me.
Yeah.
Not meaning he Earl did it necessarily, but you don't know. You don't know what it is,
Right. He has
it's very confusing.
He is anterograde amnesia, which is actually a cousin of mine had that when she had a stroke.
Oh.
And eventually she got better, but when we first would visit with her at the hospital, she would go through my phone and look at my pictures and ask me the same question over and over again. Who's that? What cat is that? Is that your cat? Like, she didn't. So it's frustrating, and you feel bad for them, but she got over it. She's okay now. She's fine, but it's a very scary condition. But yeah, Earl's in a hospital, in a mental hospital, and and he is talking about why I can't be in here anymore. I got to go out and find the person that killed my wife. And so that's his whole conundrum, is like, how do I get out of here when my memory is so shoddy and so bad? But he eventually, I mean, in the story, like we said, it's very quick. It's oblique, what he's saying and what they're describing to us. They're certainly not telling. They're certainly just, it's all
it is the epitome of show don't tell.
Exactly. So he escapes in a car. Somehow he escapes, and then he's going to go out and find this person and kill them. He wants revenge. And so the story is called Memento Mori, Mori, which in Latin means, and I had to write this down, remember that you have to die. And that's the story. And so Esquire was really an interesting magazine. They used to have a lot of fiction writers in there, and it was and David, who's the person that David I'm thinking of? I'm losing my, but anyway, they had some really great writers. And so this is one of those things where they released this movie. The story is in the same month that the movie comes out. So you could read the story and then go to the movie. And when we will play which is, yeah. And then we went to, when you get the trailer, Sedaris, Amy Sedaris, David Sedaris.
Yes,
like, it's that level of talent that people would bring their work in. So anyway, we should just play the trailer because it's very intriguing, and you're not really sure what's going on, but it sounds good. So that's all I can say.
That's true.
Let's play the trailer.
I guess I've already told you about my condition.
Only every time I see you.
You don't remember where you've been or what you've just done.
I can't make new memories. Everything just fades.
What's the last thing you do remember?
My wife,
That's sweet.
dying.
You really want to get this guy, don't you?
My wife deserves vengeance.
When you find this guy, what are you gonna do?
I'm gonna kill him.
Somebody's got to pay, Lenny. Somebody always pays. You have to be very careful. You wander around playing detective. Maybe you should start investigating yourself.
This guy is so dangerous. He's gonna kill me.
Who is he? What do you want from me? I want my life back!
I think someone's trying to get me to kill the wrong guy.
You can question everything. You can never know anything for sure.
There are things you know for sure.
You can't trust her.
Even if you get revenge, you're not gonna remember it. You're not even gonna know that it happened.
Who did this to you?
You did. You don't know who you are.
Okay, so it's Christopher Nolan, and he adapted the screenplay from his brother's work, but I'm sure his brother was helping out. Produced by Susan Todd, Jennifer Todd. It's with Guy Pearce, and I think his first American role. He's a big star in Australia.
I think so, yeah.
Is Carrie-Anne Moss and Joe Pantoliano, Joey Pants for the Sopranos fans. They were from The Matrix. And The Matrix just came out like 2 years before. And it has Georgia Fox, who was on CSI. We find him, he's a guy that wakes up in the morning and he just tells us that I have no short-term memory. He's covered in tattoos. He goes to the front desk. He's living in this cheap motel, but he has like a nice suit and a nice car. But he goes to the front desk and the guy's like, yeah, we met yesterday. I know who you are. You have no short-term memory. Fact is that he takes photos, he takes Polaroid photos, and he's constantly writing notes to himself, either on the Polaroid or it's on pieces of paper, or he actually writes tattoos on his body, different things. And so what we learned from him is that his wife was assaulted and then he had a head injury from, there were 2 assailants, he's saying. The police think there was just one, but he's saying there was 2. And one of them bashed his head against a mirror. And when he woke up, his wife was dead and he had no memory, like up until the very last second he saw her. And the police didn't believe there was a second assailant. So he meets with Joey Pants. I'll just call it. There's so many names here that we have to kind of keep in mind because we're looking for John G., which is the name of
again. That's where the
assailant.
That's what's on his tattoo. That John G. is the person. So he wakes up every day, doesn't know what day it is, doesn't know even where he is or anything like that. And then he looks in the mirror and he's like, oh, okay, so I guess I have to go after this John G. That's what I'm doing today.
That's my purpose.
And, that's my purpose. And then again, he has a series of notes and photographs. So when you're watching the movie, I think we open with he's shooting Joey Pants, right?
Yes, that's how we open it. And so this is a Christopher Nolan thing because it's also in Oppenheimer. It's like some parts are in black and white and some parts are in color. And those are to delineate 2 different things. So I think in black and white, it's real time or it's progressing. And then in color, it goes back.
Yes. Okay, so here's the device of the movie, and which I did not know when I watched it the first time. I was like, what is going on? There's 2 kind of parallel... The story is being told in 2 different... Okay, if you're watching it only in black and white, if you're watching the movie and you're fast-forwarding and you're only watching the black and white things, you're watching the story in linear narrative going from beginning to end. You are going forward in time. If you're watching the story in color, the story in color is going backwards in time. So simultaneously, you're moving forward and you're also moving backwards. And it gives you that very disjointed feeling that he must feel like for him every day. Little bits of things that you recognize but don't quite recognize. And where did I see him before? Is it the past now? I don't know. Where am I in time?
Right.
There are videos where people go through this movie and they watch only the color ones, or they watch only the black and white, or they watch the color ones in reverse, and so on and so on. And I think he does a great job. He seems genuinely
terrified.
He seems very scared. He knows he's supposed to do something. He doesn't really know why. He doesn't know if it's a good thing or if it's a bad thing. If cops are after him, there's a sequence where I forget who's chasing him. Somebody's chasing him, and he forgets why he's running. In the middle of the chase, he no longer remembers, what am I running from? Am I chasing that person or he's chasing me? I don't remember. And so it's a lot of that. And I really liked... So it's taking the story, the original short story, and fleshing it out, giving us more examples of what that would be like. He lives in this divey hotel, or motel rather. He knows he lives there because he has a photograph, a Polaroid of it, and he's written on it this is where you live. Over the course of the movie, we learn that the manager, who he talks to every day as if he's just met him, the manager has rented this guy several rooms in this hotel because he can't remember that he's renting more than one room in the hotel and therefore paying. And I did have the thought, where's that money coming from? How is he making money if he's no longer working? And how is he able to continue paying for these rooms? There must be a way. And so Joey Pants, and we're just going to call him that for this whole thing. If you watch The Sopranos, oh my gosh, he was so wonderful in The Sopranos. And this was around the time of The Sopranos, right?
And he's always great. I mean, he's an amazing character actor. Like he always brings it.
Wonderful. He played Ralphie in The Sopranos, the one that was Janice's boyfriend, and he's so scary and terrible. Anyway. So already, I think part of that, like you bringing that into this movie, like you see Joey Pants, and and this is during when he's playing a super bad guy in our culture, and you're like, do I trust him? I don't know if I trust him. But he shows up, and what's his name in the movie?
Teddy.
No.
Oh, Leonard.
What's Guy Pearce? Lenny, right? Lenny, Leonard and Lenny, and Leonard has a picture of Teddy in his pocket, and like, okay, obviously I know this guy, but when he flips the picture over, it says, "Don't believe him, he lies," basically. And this happens over and over again through the movie, where Teddy will tell him something, and he's like, "Right, got it," and then he's like, "Oh yeah, who's that guy again?" He pulls out the photo, and like, "Oh, it's Teddy." Flips it over. "Oh yeah, he lies. So don't believe what Teddy just told me." Anyway, so Teddy shows up, and every time we see Teddy's got like a different spiel.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes he's like an old friend. Sometimes he says he's a cop. Sometimes he might be a drug dealer. We don't quite know what his deal is, but we do know that his full name is John Edward Gamble. So he is also a John G. And there's a lot of John G's. He's like surrounded by people who could be a John G or a James G. And there's a Jimmy G. And it's so this poor man.
Mm-hmm.
And he's in a suit. He's got a suit, and he reaches in the suit, and there's a coaster that says "Meet me after," and it's from a bar. So he goes to the bar, and the woman is acting strangely behind the bar, and she's like, "Where'd you get this?" And it's just so sad, and he doesn't have a life of any kind. He's just living from moment to moment, and people are taking advantage of him and manipulating him. He's also killing people.
And not remembering it.
And
so
not
he has to
remembering.
take a picture if he does. I think like also Carrie-Anne Moss gives a great performance here because
it's really good.
It's so good because she's playing someone that you don't know if you can trust her. You don't know because she's a bartender and she's got kind of a skeevy boyfriend that she's missing, and we're told that like her boyfriend's a drug dealer. She treats him sometimes with contempt, and then sometimes like there's a moment where she says these horrible things to his face to get a rise out of him, and he's a very gentle person. You think.
What's wrong?
Somebody's come already.
Who?
Calls himself Dodd.
What does he want?
Wants to know what happened to Jimmy and his money. He thinks I have it. He thinks I took it.
Oh, well, did you?
No.
What's this all about?
You don't have a clue, do you? You're just blissfully ignorant, aren't you?
Look, I have this condition.
Yeah, I know all about your condition, Leonard. Probably know more about it than you do. You don't have a clue about anything else.
What happened?
What happened is that Jimmy went to meet some guy named Teddy. He took a lot of money with him and he never came back. Jimmy's partners think I set him up. I don't know if you know this, Teddy, or how well.
Neither do I.
Don't protect him.
I'm not.
Help me.
How?
Get rid of Dodd for me.
What?
Kill him. I'll pay you.
What do you think I am? I'm not going to kill someone for money.
What then? Love? What would you kill for? Kill for your wife, wouldn't you?
That's different.
Not to me. I wasn't married to her.
Hey, don't talk about my wife.
I can talk about whoever I want. I can say whatever I want and you won't remember. I could call your wife a whore and we can still be friends.
Calm down.
Easy for you to say. You can't get scared. You don't know how, you idiot.
Take it easy. This has nothing to do with me.
Well, maybe it does. How would you know? You don't know a thing. You can't get scared, but hey, can you get angry?
Yes.
I can say whatever I want and you won't have a clue. You know what?
And then he winds up hitting her because she's saying things about his wife, this dead wife, and all this other stuff. And then she leaves. And then 2 minutes later, she comes back in And he's like, hey, what happened to you? He goes, oh my God, Dodd beat the hell out of me. Like,
Yeah. And you're
she,
like, oh.
she knows. Like, she's like taking advantage of him. So she lets him stay with her sometimes. And they have moments where they seem really affectionate with one another. And then there's moments you're like, I don't think I trust her. And she's somebody we realize later, we'll explain the ending as best we can, but she's missing someone. You know, she lost somebody too. And she's just trying to figure out life and trying to figure out what to do with herself. And so he's meeting all these different people. And then we also learn he was an insurance agent and it was an investigator. Yes. And so he investigated claims. So there's this guy named Sammy, who's Stephen Tobolowsky, who's also a great character actor. Always so good.
He's always super good. Yeah.
You know him from Groundhog Day, you know, Ned.
Yeah.
Who sells the insurance.
Yeah. He was on, which I love. Did you see the reboot of One Day at a Time?
Yes, on Netflix.
He was on that. Yeah. Oh, I loved that. I thought they did such a good job with Rita Moreno.
Yeah.
So he was on there. He's always.
He's in a million things.
Good. Yeah.
Since forever. Like he's always just been working. So he plays a guy named Sammy, and Sammy is someone who is suffering from temporary memory loss. And Sammy has a spouse, and she has to take care of him. So they're going through their insurance to have money so that she can take care of this man who cannot remember anything. And so Guy Pearce, Leonard, is investigating them, and he thinks that this guy's faking it somehow, that it's some mental condition. It's not really a physical condition. And she's like, what are you talking about? This man cannot remember anything. And she's the one that Mrs. Jenkins, she has diabetes, and that he's the one who gives her medicine, who gives her shot.
Yeah, because it's before, he also has been in an accident. So that's something that it's like the one thing that he seems to know how to remember to do from before. You know, she'll say, it's time for my shot. And he's like, oh, okay. And he goes and he gets the insulin and he measures it out exactly right. And he puts it wherever it needs to go. And that is one of the reasons why Leonard suspects that maybe he's faking, that he has this short-term memory loss.
Right. Because they're saying like you could retrain yourself. And so they put him through these series of tests where you pick 3 objects and they're on a table, and there's like 6 of them on a table. And one of them, you grab it and it has a buzzer attached to it. So it's not enough to kill you or hurt you, but it shocks you. He keeps picking that one. And so they're saying he must be lying. He must be, because, you know, you would think, you know, very quickly, oh, don't touch that one. So that's just one of the ways.
Maybe there would be muscle memory or something like that. And so because he doesn't ever learn, Leonard draws the conclusion that he must be faking.
Right. And so then the wife is turned down for the help, for the money, for the insurance. And so then she's like telling him, what do I do now? You know, like, what do you think is happening here? Because she totally believes him. She knows, like, she lives with the man. She knows how he is. And other thing he says is that whenever he sees people, he kind of looks at them for a moment like he knows them, like he smiles and nods. And it's like, yeah, everybody does that. I have terrible memory. I meet people all the time, and I can't remember where
all the time. I'm the same. Yeah. But I'm not going to be a jerk. I'm going to, like, try to be friendly.
John Mulaney has a whole routine about that. Like in the movies, people are like, no, I don't recognize. It's like, no, you would go crazy because people are constantly, we're constantly meeting new people all the time. But anyway, we get more and more information. There's this whole point where he tracks down Jimmy. So Carrie, it gets so confusing.
Yeah. Jimmy
G is her boyfriend. And we find out that Guy Pearce, Lenny, thinks Jimmy G is the one who killed his wife.
Yes.
And so he follows the man and then takes him to a remote location and kills him. And the man says, I've got $200,000 in my trunk. You can have it. Have the car. Have everything. Just let me be. And he takes the car and takes it with him. And also Teddy shows up while he's doing this. So he's taking pictures of him. So Moss figures out maybe he's the one that killed Jimmy. And so she tries to rile up Dodd to kill him. But he winds up killing Dodd. Does he? No, he sends Dodd away. They send Dodd away.
Yeah, he beats him up and
they scare him away.
Yeah, scares him away, yeah.
Right, and as Margot says, so we're going backwards in time when it's in color, but it's forward in time when he's in black and white. So you're kind of like trying to figure things out. And it just kind of comes to a head where Teddy and Lenny are having this conversation, Joe Pantoliano, and he's saying to him, you don't understand. Like, we've been through this before now. I helped you find John G, and you took care of it. I even took
the real one.
The real one.
Yeah.
I took a photo of it. You had it, but you couldn't remember that. And I think he thinks that if I solve this, then my memory will come back.
Right.
And it's very sad because he says, like, I can't remember to forget you, or I can't forget to remember, or whatever that he puts it. But he tries to, and then there's all these indications, like, did they have a really good relationship or not? He and his spouse. And in this very intense scene, he's explaining to him that these men broke into the house. You know, they did kill your wife, but
No, they didn't kill her.
No.
They
She
did
was
assault her.
right.
They
And-
assaulted her, and they did. There were two of them. One of them did bang Leonard's head into the wall, and that's what messed with his memory. And the thing is, like, at this point, like, so now we have the two timelines are converging: the black and white one and the backwards color one.
So you lie to yourself to be happy. There's nothing wrong with that. We all do it. Who cares if there's a few little details you'd rather not remember? Your wife surviving the assault. Her not believing your condition. The torment and pain and anguish tearing her up inside. The insulin.
That's Sammy, not me. I told you about Sammy.
Yeah, right. Like you tell yourself over and over again. Conditioning yourself to remember. Learning through repetition.
Sammy let his wife kill herself. Sammy ended up in an institution.
Sammy was a con man. A faker.
I never said that Sammy was faking.
Exposed him for what he was. A fraud.
But I was wrong. That's the whole point. See, Sammy's wife came to me.
Sammy didn't have a wife. It was your wife who had diabetes.
Ouch. Cut it out.
She wasn't diabetic. You think I don't know my own wife?
Well, I guess I can only make you remember the things you want to be true. Like old Jimmy down there.
He's not the right guy.
He was to you. Come on, you got your revenge. Enjoy it while you still remember. What difference does it make whether he was your guy or not?
It makes all the difference.
Why? You're never gonna know.
Yes, I will.
No, you won't.
I will. Somehow. I'll
You
know.
won't remember.
When it's done, I will know. It'll be different.
Well, I thought so too. In fact, I was sure of it, but you didn't. That's right.
And as we've seen Joey Pants shows up every time he plays Teddy. Every time Teddy shows up, he's got it. Like I said, he's got a different spiel every single time. And the whole movie, you're wondering, like, what is this guy's deal? Like, what is he doing here? Why does he keep showing up? And so by the time we get to this point, Teddy is saying to Lenny, like Margot said, yes, there were two men. I was the cop that worked on it. I believed you. Nobody else did. You killed the real John G. I helped you find him, and you really killed him. And what's going on here is you just keep going. We keep going around, and you keep finding other John G's or Jimmy G's to kill, and we're making money off of that. And you realize at that point that because you know that Lenny's memory is going to reset like any second, Teddy doesn't really have a reason to lie. He's not going to get anything
Right.
out of lying right now. We have every reason now to believe this guy that we've tried to sort out this whole movie and not trusted. We kind of now realize, he has no reason to lie to this guy right now. He's not going to gain anything. So he probably is telling the truth.
Right.
But we don't know for sure. And one of the things that he says to Lenny is that this whole thing about Sammy, the story about Sammy, and the reason that Lenny seems to keep kind of obsessing about it is because he has converged or conflated Sammy's story with his own. And that Sammy was not the one who gave the shots to his wife. Lenny was the one who gave the shots to his wife. And Lenny is, in fact, the one who has killed his wife by giving her too many shots of insulin. And then there's this real quick scene where he remembers. We see a glimpse of Sammy in the black and white. Sammy's always in black and white because he's in that timeline. We see Sammy in a mental hospital after his wife has died, and there's like a flash, and it's Lenny sitting there.
Yep.
Which is how the story is. In the story, he's in a hospital. It's there's more of that in the story than in the movie. It's just that one little flash. So you think like, oh, okay. So also he's like, man, this poor man.
Yeah.
And also he's going around killing people.
Yeah. And Teddy's just helping him along. I mean, and I don't know if they're just like, that's his only friend or whatever, but
he's also manipulating him because he's getting money. He's also getting money out of this whole arrangement with these, with this note memory guy. He's convincing him over and over again that they're after his wife's killer, and then bilking whatever John G or Jimmy G that they're coming across out of money, and then killing them.
He ends like, at the beginning, he kills Teddy, but it's like a very quick thing. And so now he's just back to, okay. And he wakes up, he's like in a car driving to a tattoo place to get this license number tattooed on his leg.
Meanwhile, he's got this tattooed on his chest. So every single day he wakes up and is like, I guess I got to go kill John G.
Time to make the donuts. Man. Yeah. I mean, just, every day got to get up and do that. And so.
I'm not a killer. I'm just someone who wanted to make things right. Can I just let myself forget what you've told me? Can I just let myself forget what you've made me do? You think I just want another puzzle to solve? Another John G to look for? You're John G. So you can be my John G. Do I lie to myself to be happy? In your case, Teddy. Yes, I will.
The great thing of this movie is like it's so damn complicated to explain. You have to be paying attention to every scene. I don't know how the actors were able to do it because there's so many different motivations that you have for these characters, but they're excellent. I mean, everybody,
it's really good.
It's really, really good. It's really tense. There's not a wasted scene in this. It doesn't have too much music. It doesn't.
There are so many clues.
Yes.
All along the way. Yeah, like how is he paying for these hotel rooms? Like where is that coming from? How is he? We don't know right away, but he's got a car. We don't know where he got the car from. He's got, a suit. Why is he wearing it's all these things. Let alone like how is he getting food and stuff? Like how is he remembering that he ate or didn't eat? I don't know, but it's really well done. I think the way that it works so well is it's not overrun. It's not overwrought with like extra characters. We have a very small cast who keep showing up in and out, and it's in different, with different motivations and different ways that they're manipulating him. And so I think that is what makes it work. I think if we had tried to throw in, as often happens when we have an adaptation from a story, especially a short story, we get a lot of extra subplots and characters and whatnot, and that would have made this completely unsustainable as a story. So I think that he kept it so sparse with just these few key players is what makes it so strong and makes it work so well. And it's an excellent cast. Everybody's doing such a good job.
I think it's great uses of LA locations.
Definitely. Absolutely.
It's really just there's, I have like no notes. Like it's just, I mean,
it's really well done.
There are a lot of YouTube channels I found that people will, like Margot said, they'll put it out in black and white, like that version. So you could kind of, that people are talking. But then Christopher Nolan apparently filmed like 4 different endings. And so there's so many different ways you could go with it.
Yeah, because the story's very open-ended. You know, is he in, we don't even know if he's in the hospital still at the end of the story. Right. So yeah, there's so many ways to go with it. I just feel so bad for the guy, like through the whole thing. I feel so sorry for him.
When he hires the escort, the sex worker.
Oh, that's so sad.
To like, just because he wants to feel, he puts all the things his wife had around them on their bedroom. And he just says to her, like, just when I fall asleep, slam the bathroom door so I wake up. And then that
wakes me up.
So it wakes me up because that's that 1 second he can think of his wife and he feels like he's with her, you know, just for that 1 minute. And then he goes to the bathroom and she's shooting up drugs because she's shooting up drugs. It's not her. And so it's not his wife. So it's just, It was just nominated for so many, like Academy Awards, Sundance Film Festival, Independent Spirit Awards. It cleaned up. I mean, it's just a great movie. It really,
it's super good. I think the dialogue is really smart.
Yeah, so when he shows him the picture of Carrie-Anne Moss and he says, "Oh, good job, Leibovitz." You know, just like little things.
It's like a terrible picture.
It's a terrible picture, being the point.
It's good. It's super good. I really enjoyed it. I was very impressed by the story and extremely impressed by the movie. And yeah, again, very similar experience for me to Arrival. I was very confused by that book at first, and the same thing with the movie where we were going back and forth in time, but then at the end, you know, you just have this really very sad story of, you know, this poor person, this awful thing that happened to them, and they're stuck. I mean, they're just stuck, and then he burns his wife's stuff because like he can't even forget his wife. Like he could forget that he had a wife ever. That would even be better. But he can't. And like, how do you, I think he even says it. I forget exactly how he says it, but he says something along the lines of, how do you heal if you don't know what time is? Because time is the only thing that kind of helps you heal and move on with trauma, you know, but if you're constantly remembering that you've suffered this horrendous loss fresh every single day, what do you do?
I forgot to mention, Jonathan Nolan, the writer, he created a website for the movie at the time when they launched it. So he has this whole backstory where Leonard's in a mental hospital and there's like a LA Times article about the murder. I mean, it's like up there with, you know, that was a thing. You know, they created websites for movies and that was like, ooh, that's exciting. So, but there is so much mystery here. That's what's great about it. They don't answer everything. Like they answer a few things, but I think that's what makes it interesting. And I watched it twice this week and
it's super good.
It's great.
Yeah, I really, really liked it. Yeah, it's one of those, I keep thinking about it. You know, my mind is still working on it, but loved it. Great cast, almost no music.
Yeah.
Which I think in this case, super effective. Because again, we don't know how we're supposed to feel. You know, I don't know. Am I rooting for him? I don't know if I'm rooting for him.
No, he's killing people. Does he enjoy it?
Killing people.
Does he enjoy it, but he doesn't like want to say that? Or you don't know, like, did he and his wife have a great relationship or was it fraught? Is Carrie-Anne Moss, you know, an evil person, or is she just somebody just trying to survive? You know, it's they all have like, you know, weird motivation. So it truly fits like what we were saying. Like it's a true mystery, and it's just excellent.
So we're gonna take another hard turn.
Yes.
For the next one. And this is one that our listeners in the group have asked for from time to time, and we just have never gotten around to doing it. And and it seems to be a good fit for our Mysteries in May. And this time we're going to be talking about a movie based on a play. And I don't know if I haven't looked into the backstory of this at all, so maybe there's some kind of true story at the root of it. We're going to be talking about Arsenic and Old Lace.
We got some great suggestions, and we were talking off the air. Like, someone had emailed us this week, and it turns out it was like 3 Cary Grant movies we would have been doing in a row, which we love Cary Grant on this show. We love. But we would love some ideas because we're going to talk about Sherlock Holmes for our last episode for May. Mm-hmm. And so send us your ideas for which Sherlock Holmes you think we should cover. You know, make sure it's something we can get our hands on and it's streaming on a major platform, and that would be really helpful. And yeah, so it's going to be Arsenic and Old Lace next.
We forgot to say, did we like the book or the movie better?
Oh, the movie.
I think so too.
I mean, it's the brothers, and I'm sure they both work on it. I mean, I'm glad I read the story, and it's very well written. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't answer any questions. Like,
no, it sure doesn't. It's not going to spoil the movie for you. That's for sure.
But the movie, like, I'll probably watch this again. Like, it's really, really well done.
Impressive.
And Guy Pearce deserves a lot of credit. I mean, he's in every scene. He has so much to do.
Yeah, seriously, it's super good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say movie too. So yeah, Arsenic and Old Lace with our friend Cary Grant, and who we just talked about not too long ago. We did Philadelphia Story.
That's right.
But we won't go crazy and just do all the whole rest of the month with Cary Grant movies.
We may in our downtime, but not with
tempting though it may be.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that will be super. Marco, where can they find you on the internet?
You can find me at Brooklyn Fit Chick. That's my site. That's where you can find me for Threads and Instagram. And I'm at Brooklyn Margot on TikTok and Twitter.
Although I don't do very much on Twitter these days, all of my social media callouts are at She's Nacho Mama, and my website is coloniabook.com. So that's about it.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. We'll be back soon with a new episode. Thank you so much for listening to the Book versus Movie podcast. We're a part of the Frolic Podcast Network. You could find more podcasts you will love at frolic.media/podcasts. You could find us on Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky, and Instagram at Book versus a Movie. Just spelled it all out. We have a Patreon page. Type in there Book vs. Movie Podcast, where you can find 8 years worth of shows. You can follow Margot D on social media at Brooklyn Margot and also Brooklyn Fit Chick. You can find Margot P at She's Nacho Mama. Thank you again for listening, and please be sure to send along your suggestions for the show. Remember, the book needs to be easy to get your hands on, and the movie has to be streaming on a major platform. We will be back soon with a new episode.